On basically any video that I make that even remotely discusses GPU prices, I get a bunch of comments about how like PC gaming is dying because of these high GPU prices, everybody's gonna leave, everybody's gonna switch back to console gaming. I get those comments where people are complaining about that, but then I have other comments where people are actually just advising that. Just like, why would anybody pay this much money for a GPU when you could buy an Xbox Series S for $300 or less and get yourself a stronger system? And it's the entire system and it's cheaper than the GPU. And so, yeah, I mean, those are very real points. Heck, I even mentioned that in my blues song I wrote the other day. Anyway, but I think a lot of people are kind of missing the point a little bit, which is that I don't think personally that console games, right, and PC gaming, or, you know, the PC itself and the consoles themselves, I don't think they're as much of direct competitors as a lot of people in the comment section seem to think that they are. Now, I absolutely do agree that there are people who would be better served and much more, get much more value for their money, much more affordable to just switch over to console gaming right now. And, you know, that's honestly the truth a lot of times when a console generation first launches. The hardware that you're getting for your money is often way outclassing what you can get for the same price in terms of PC hardware. And we're seeing the extreme version of that right now due to the current market and, you know, cryptocurrency, supply shortages, blah, blah, blah. All of that is really compounding that situation. However, once again, I don't think that these are in as direct competition as people think. And I also don't think the situation in terms of the growth of the PC gaming industry, or as you'd hear these commenters believe, the death of the PC gaming industry, is anywhere near what they seem to think it is. For example, there's a headline today saying that PC gaming hardware and accessories spending increased by 25% in 2021. And notice that's compared to a absolutely record-shattering 2019 to 2020 increase of 62%. So we saw record growth in the last couple of years in this industry. It's not dying, it's growth. Now that is spending, right? Now things are more expensive. So, you know, maybe it makes sense why people are spending money. But the point is, people are spending the money. It's not people just leaving in droves. The money is still being spent. Also, other than just increased spending, are the amount of people actually playing PC games going down? Well, it's difficult to track that exact figure as a whole. But with Steam being the largest marketplace or the largest, platform for PC gaming, we can track the number of concurrent players on Steam, and it continues to set records over and over and over again. Steam closes in on 30 million concurrent player record just a few days ago, right? This is January 24th, so as of time of filming, just a few days ago. So this is just continually increasing the player base on Steam. Now, also speaking of Steam, I can use some data that we can get from here to back up what I'm saying about console games and PC games not being as direct competitors as a lot of people think. Because here's the thing, if you just want to play like the latest AAA games, and especially if we're talking single player type games, and you're okay doing that on a controller, then honestly, I think right now gaming consoles probably are by far the most cost-effective way to do that. But I think that misses the point of what a huge amount of the PC gaming market actually is. So for one thing, let's actually check Steam charts. So once again, Steam is not the entire PC gaming landscape. There are tons of games that are not on Steam that are extremely popular, and so this is not the entire PC gaming market, but this is one of the best ways to get a handle on a large chunk of the PC gaming market. And take a look at this, guys. So these are the top games by current players right now on Steam. Notice that number one, with almost 1 million current players in the last 30 days, okay, is Counter-Strike, CSGO. And this game tried to exist on consoles, I believe. At least some version of Counter-Strike did. Was it CSGO or was it CS Source? I don't know. At some point, they tried to put a console version of CSGO, and it just doesn't work, right? The whole experience of CSGO, the mouse and keyboard thing, just it is not a console game. And then once again, following this up, Dota 2, you are not playing this on a console. PUBG has a console version that is terrible, or at least it was at launch. I haven't really followed up on PUBG, and honestly, it's spiking back into the Steam charts, I think because wasn't this like they went offline and then instigated a free-to-play, and then looks like they've jumped up their player numbers quite a bit after the free-to-play experience. But anyway, PUBG, without the mouse and keyboard, just wasn't PUBG. The console version just was not the same thing. Now sure, Apex does have a successful console experience, but it's also incredibly popular on PC, and again, feels very different with a mouse and keyboard. Anyway, what I'm saying here is, yeah, some of these, like we're getting down here to Grand Theft Auto 5, sure, that one's also super popular on console. But a lot of these things, are very much PC-centric games, even if they also do have console versions. So, for example, there is a console version of Civilization 6, but this is a game that you really want to be playing with a mouse and keyboard. So I went on and on and on here, and again, this is just the Steam charts, but there's so many games, especially PC-centric esports titles, that are just either not on consoles or are just a completely different experience on consoles and just really isn't the same thing. Now here's the other thing about, are the high GPU prices going to kill the PC gaming market? Well, no, because one of the, again, huge advantages of PC gaming is the incredible back catalog of games going all the way back into the 90s. And sure, sometimes you get, even before the 90s, and sometimes you do get some compatibility issues with some of those, but a lot of them get updated or mods fixed by community members, all of that. The point is, you have an incredible history of games that you can go back on play on what is for current AAA games very modest hardware, but for playing games that released 10 years ago is just beyond anything that the people who were running the games at the time could have imagined. You could play games in 4K that didn't exist when 4K was even a thing, right? And a lot of times there's mods to improve what those games look like. And this is just something that just, if things like that do exist on console, for example, Xbox does have good backwards compatibility, and a lot of times it can upgrade what those games look like. Even the Xbox consoles aren't able to do this to the same extent that PC gaming can, especially with the community-driven mod support and things like that. Now, jumping into okay, so let's go to, again, the Steam hardware survey, which again is not the entire PC gaming market, but it does give us a good look at what is the actual average PC gamer, at least the average PC gamer on Steam, which again with 30 million concurrent users is probably a good sampling of the PC gaming space, right? And we can dig into their hardware, and the big one right now is video cards. Those are what's so super expensive. But if you take a look at this, the most popular GPU for a long time has been the GTX 1060, and it looks like that is still the case. I think I'm kind of in the way more now. Let me slide over, the magic's a green screen. Anyway, we've got the 1060, the 1650, the 1050 Ti even is number 3. And a lot of people, if you look at the comments on my videos, would suggest that a 1050 Ti is a piece of junk that you couldn't even consider trying to use. Well then, how come a large percentage of the PC gaming market is actually using this? It's still more popular than the RTX 2060. And then we got the measly 1050 coming in after that. Well, that's again because look at what's actually popular to play on PC. You can play Dota 2 on a GTX 1050 just fine. You can play CSGO on it. So that's what I'm getting at here, is that the PC gaming space offers such huge diversity, such a huge backwards compatible list of old games that you can play. And in addition to that, I'm not even getting into the fact that your PC can be used for so much other than just gaming. You're buying a device that can help you with work and school and be your gaming system all at the same time. So to wrap this up, I'm not saying that there aren't people for whom a console is still a better deal and where that isn't the right move to make. Those people absolutely exist. But if you buy a console to become a CSGO esports player, that doesn't really work out. So we've got an absolutely not apples to apples comparison here. Although I'm a math teacher, we looked at the Venn diagrams of people whose interests are served by, console gaming and PC gaming. There's some overlap here, and the people in that overlap probably would be better served going console right now. Although there's a lot of people whose interests there's a big chunk of interests that console gaming just does not serve. You want to do these esports, you want to get into modding, old PC games that just don't exist on consoles, you want to also create content on your PC, just use it for work and school, all of that. Tough to do that on the consoles. So anyway, I do hope prices get better, but this is my defense for PC gaming is not only not dead, but for a lot of people it still makes sense to buy the PC rather than the console, even in the current market. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Have an excellent day.